Hi, this is David Orlofsky, and welcome to the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. And whether you're watching with our friends over at Torah Anytime, or wherever you watch or listen to your podcast, as always, it's nice to have you along. And I should mention that Torah Anytime is right now in the middle of a fundraising campaign. They asked all of the different rabbis who benefit from being on Torah Anytime to please ask people to reach out and help them. You can go to their website at Torah Anytime and join their program. I have a page there. If you want to put it onto my page, I don't get any money for it or credit, but at least they know that I'm trying to help the cause. If you go back and watch my interview with Rabbi Kol Yaakov, you'll see there's like 10 million hours of Torah that's learned through this website. I have met very often rabbis who ask me, how do I get onto Torah Anytime? And they say, listen, we have a list of hundreds of rabbonim who want to get on, and we just don't have the money to process their videos and put it on. Not everybody is as popular as yours truly, you understand? But they still have wonderful things that they want to contribute, and this could be their opportunity. So he says, we just don't have the money. So those of you who support this podcast, thank you. Please continue. But if you have a little extra money lying around and you want to help an organization that's helped to be mefarsem what I do hundreds, thousands of times, so this is an opportunity. And speaking of sponsors, we have a sponsor this week. Hi, Rabbi. At work, every Rosh Chodesh, a group of us Jewish girls get together for lunch, and someone says a few things about the new month. Can you please give me some things to say at our next meeting? Thanks. I'm going to do better than that. I could say a quick idea about Chodesh Sivan, but I am going to put a link to my daughter, Esther Lieberman, who sends out a 5-10 minute thought on every Rosh Chodesh for women. And this is an unbelievable resource to have. Yours truly goes over with her beforehand, so it's you're getting some of my stuff in there mixed together, and it's just perfect. It is the perfect Rosh Chodesh inspiration for women, and I urge everybody to sign up for it. And we'll have that link for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I've noticed people have actually started doing that. So very nice. Thank you. And I noticed that even on my more controversial episodes, or even when, I push myself to the edge of what my cardiologist will allow, because I get a little excited sometimes. I don't get any dislikes, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that if you watch this show, because, you don't have to. There's plenty out there. There's thousands of people on Torah Anytime. There's so many resources out there. The fact that you take out time to listen to my podcast, and I don't really know what I'm saying here, but I will say it anyway. People tell me that we have a high percentage of engagement. That doesn't mean that people are getting married, but people who watch it for longer than just like for the opening idea or something, and they actually stick it out throughout. So thank you to all the people who take out time. And I've said many times that I had a time when I was teaching in seminaries and yeshivas. I had a time when I was flying around the world speaking in all kinds of different places, and now basically this is all I got. And the fact that people are taking out time to listen to anything that I have to say is really means a tremendous amount. And I haven't been answering my emails for a while, just because things have been crazy around here with various medical procedures and stuff. But there have been a number of emails I've gotten lately, which are, real strong pats on the back. I really want to thank everybody who sends you kind words. Even if I don't respond immediately, you should know that it means a lot. Okay, so in the number of episodes that we've had leading up to Shavuos after Pesach, I have referenced a number of times the Brisa in the 6th parak of Pirkei Avos, which lists the Memches Dvarim she'Torah nikna behen. In fact, one of the good friends of the show and one of the directors of the Rabbi Orlofsky shul, if you're ever in Har Nof for Shabbos and you want to come by, we have a shul here out of my chutzer, and I think it's a wonderful davening. Anyway, he's one of the people responsible, and he in between Mincha Ma'ariv, I was doing some of these Memches Dvarim, and he said you should really put it out as a book. So I said, well, I think there are books out there already that do it. And he says he looked around and there's nothing doing it quite the way that I do it. So maybe we will. It's another thing for me to get to. At least it'll give me an excuse why I'm not answering all those emails that people were sending me. But I wanted to focus on one aspect of the Brisa, which is listing these 48 things, qualities that you need in order to be able to be Makabel Torah. And we've mentioned before there are 49 days, but that's because at the end, you're supposed to chaza over them all to make them all like one whole thing, because the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And so although you're working on each individual action, you can't compare that to when you get everything together. Right? I have 8 daughters, and I'm one of 6 boys. I didn't have any girls in my house growing up. And then I had 8 girls, and I found that there are certain differences. For example, none of us 6 boys ever took ballet lessons, but many of my daughters did. And they would come in, and I'm paying money for this. So I want to see Baryshnikov pirouette, 50 times, And they come home, I said, what'd you learn today? And they said, well, we learned 3rd position. I learned how to put my 2 feet together at an angle. I said, I'm not impressed. My wife says, patience. Eventually they learned how to lift their arm over their head. I said, I'm not impressed. My wife says, patience. Eventually, they learned how to bend their knees. I said, this is not dance. And my wife said, no, but they're the steps that you need in order to create dance. When you know the notes to sing, you can sing most anything, right? So that's the idea. Practicing scales is not music, but it's necessary if you want to be able to create music. So each one of these aspects is developing a different aspect of you as a person. But at the end, you need to take all of them and put them together into one whole, right? Okay, so I wanted to focus on one aspect of the Brisa, one aspect to explain the concept, and then focus in on one of them. That's what I'm doing now. In the Brisa, there's a little section that says the following: B'miyat shena, limiting sleep; b'miyat sicha, limiting conversation; b'miyat chayra, limiting business dealings; miyat chayk, limiting laughter; miyat ta'anug, limiting physical pleasures; miyat derech eretz, limiting marital relations. So all of these things are limits. You don't find this concept of limits by all the other things. Yeah, it doesn't say by another. Right? Ma'od ma'od havish shva ruach. Yeah, it doesn't say it by simcha. Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. And it doesn't say it by tahara. Right? All of those things, the more the merrier. Yeah, certainly by simcha. But by these things, it says miyut. Why? Because I'm not going to tell you these things are bad. I'm not going to tell you these are bad. We are not ascetics to say have no tainug, have no pleasure in this world, or contraire. Yeah? I believe it was Rabbi Yehuda, if I recall correctly, in the Yerushalmi, who used to save up money to buy every new fruit that came out so he could make a bracha on it. And he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created all of these delicious fruit, and I want to be able to, tell him that I enjoyed all the things that he prepared for me. If you're a good guest when you go away to someone's house for a meal, so you try to taste everything. Yeah, even if you're not going to eat large portions, at least taste it. People went to the effort to make this, So, taste it and appreciate it. People put effort into it. So to say have no tainug, it's not true. But to engage in too much tainug, that is the sad story of one of the Tanoim who got addicted to certain pleasures and he forgot all his Torah. Too much tainug is a bad thing. If you let it take you over, then that becomes your life. Your life becomes the pursuit of physical pleasures. And so we live a less physical life than if we wanted to just enjoy the pleasures of life in order to be able to learn Torah. I don't mean any pleasure. On a Shabbos, on a Yantif. And even that if you use the pleasures as a motivation. I heard Rabbi Reisman once say that he was learning late at night and he was tired. And he saw that it was a leftover lollipop from Shabbos. He says, so I took the lollipop, I made a bracha, I ate the lollipop as I was learning. It helped. It helped. Someone told me on the subject of Rabbi Reisman, and this I'm hearing secondhand, but on Shavuos night, towards the end of the night when people were really pretty tired, he gives a shir in, surprise, Navi. Only it's not really Navi, it's Ksuvim. Specifically Sefer Rus. And every year he does a different parak, and he goes through and deals with different aspects of it. And just before he does, he gives out to everybody those cups of I think they're called maraschino Italian ices with those little wooden sticks. He says, as he's giving the show, you just hear scraping. And someone told me the logic is it's hard to fall asleep while you're sitting there scraping your Italian ices to eat them. There's no question that waking up in the morning and having a nice cup of coffee can give you, a little extra strength, a little chiyas, that little pleasure to go and do your avodas Hashem. And there were people who would always have it. There was a Rebbe who once said to Moshe Shapiro, I don't know which Rebbe it was, but this is the story I heard from somebody. He said, you should always have milk and coffee in the morning. Milk and your coffee in the morning. He says, because it's like going to the mikveh. Because in Yiddish, coffee is kava, and cholav is 40. That's the mem. So mem kava is mikveh. So Moshe was very fast, obviously, and he goes, you don't have to put in milk. You could put in a glass. It also goes 40. But there were definitely, people have a cup of coffee in the morning and wakes you up. That's not the goal. I drink Folgers. I know. I've had this conversation in this forum beforehand with people. And I say this conversation because I'm talking, but I get the answers later. And people are like, Folgers? Why would you eat Folgers? Drink Folgers, taste his choice. I said, taste his choice is brown water. Do not confuse that with, with coffee. So he would say to me, well, Starbucks is burnt coffee. It just tastes burnt. If I'm in America and I have the opportunity, I go to 7-Eleven and get the 7-Eleven house brew, and that's probably the best coffee I've ever had. But here in Eretzel, I'm not going to go through all the trouble of brewing coffee because the only one in my house who will drink brewed coffee is me. I'm not making a pot of coffee just for myself. So I take instant coffee, but I can't drink Taster's Choice. It's not coffee, Bichal. So that's my opinion. It's not just an opinion here. There's no Don't use Taster's Choice people out there. More power to you. You know, be happy. You know, if you have elite coffee, it's very good because most of it clumps on the top, and so you're getting much less caffeine. So it's very good for you. It'll be a very mild cup of coffee. But for me, I like Folgers. I have people bring me Folgers from America. You know, Baruch Hashem, I have a good stash set up. You know, and I used to have it. But they used to have a commercial. The best part about waking up is Folgers in your cup. So someone told me, Rabbi friend used to give a big drush before Rosh Hashanah. So one year he just, you know, reads it through. The best part about waking up is Folgers in your cup. The best part about waking up. It was the best part. It's not my family. The best part is Folgers in your cup. Okay, so obviously the cup of coffee should not be the best part of your life. But if it can enhance your avodas Hashem and enhance what you're doing, so that's what the Ta'anugim are for. As the Mesilas Yesharim says, the pleasures of this world are here to give us nachas ruach and yishuv hadas. Make you feel good and make your life more convenient. That's the purpose of all the physical pleasures in this world, and that's what they're for. You know, when I came to Israel, the first car I bought was a Peugeot. Now, okay, this was 35 years ago. I don't know. It could be I just got a bad car. It could be whatever it was, but it was terrible. Now, I don't speak French, but apparently Peugeot means piece of junk in French. I don't know. And like all Frenchmen, it was anti-Semitic, you know, so I would hit the gas and would just laugh at me. Hey. You think I'm taking you up as a hill Jew? Anyway. It would often just stall out. And I remember I would go to Rabbi Shapiro's shir when it was in Shuafat. And it was a big hill going down. And it would always stall. I wouldn't even bother starting it. It went faster when it was stalled in neutral than when I was actually driving it, you know. It was tough. So after it finally died on me, I asked around and I said, I want to get the most reliable car. That's what's important to me, that I go outside, I start the car and it goes. And that's all I'm looking for, you know? So everyone told me the same thing, get a Honda. So I got a Honda. I sold it after 20 years. And, but in the middle there, after 10 years, I bought another Honda, a smaller Honda, and that's 10 years old. Baruch Hashem, that's what I want. I don't need luxury. I just need it to start when I turn the key and take me where I need to go, right? So that's yishuv hadas. And the cup of coffee, that's the hana that you need to make yourself feel good to be able to do it. And none of that is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about a different one. And that's called mi'etzchaik, laughter. Now, do not confuse laughter with happiness, right? Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. Simcha is, it's very interesting. You would think the opposite, you know, the Orchas Sadikim, when it talks about different midas, he has gaiva and he has anova, obviously. He has kas and he has ratzah. The opposite of simcha is not atzvus, which is sadness. The opposite is daiga, worry. Simcha means I'm happy. Everything is copacetic. I've got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning sun cast all its petals on me. Anyway, probably the only happy song that Simon and Garfunkel ever wrote. They must have been on drugs. I can't understand why else they would have written a happy song. All their songs are incredibly depressing. You can find it under the category of music to kill yourself by. But this is it. Simcha is everything is good. It's level. It's equilibrium. It's that's simcha. Schak is laughter. And it's an interesting thing when the Mesilas Yesharim talks about what's going to cause you to lose the midah of Zehiras after you get it. And he defines Zehiras as thinking. Thinking about what you're doing in life, where you're coming from to make decisions. What's going to impair your ability to think and make rational decisions is schayk, laughter. Now, Zman Simchaseinu, that's Sukkot. The holiday of laughter is Purim. And it's very interesting. The Mesilas Yesharim says a person who is, gets stuck in schayk, he's ke shika ukashaita. He's like a drunk and a lunatic. Wow, strong words. So what does that mean? You may have heard the expression, laughter is the best medicine. Well, laughter is not the best medicine, but it is a pretty effective narcotic because it releases endorphins. And the endorphins are actually a natural narcotic in your system. And that's why you see sometimes when people are telling jokes and there's like one of these, like late at night, those kind of in the dorm room, everyone's sitting there telling these crazy jokes and people are laughing, like falling off the bed laughing. And you say, wow, the guy looks high. He's on endorphins. And so therefore, it's like being drunk. That's why you understand that on Purim, where there's a mitzvah, to drink ad lo yada, to drink until you don't know what's going on, it's also the holiday of schayk, of laughter, because when you laugh, it's the same thing. It has the effect of getting you crazy. And that's why it says in Pirkei Avos, chok v'kalas rosh magilin le'erva. It brings you to immorality. And in fact, in the modern parlance, the expression is fooling around. We're just fooling around. That's exactly what it is. And why? Because laughter destroys your yiras shamayim. It destroys your yira. You're so busy laughing that you pushed yourself out of control and you become like a drunk person. And therefore, when everybody's sitting there laughing, sometimes somebody will break a confidence and say, yeah, that was like the time that you... How could you say that? I told you not to tell you about it. Yeah, it's okay. It's funny. There was a teacher that I knew who taught in a girls' high school, and she says, I can't find the heter to do things that are usher because it's funny. And where does that come from? Because people who get caught up into schayk aren't thinking rationally anymore. It's ma'abed lev ha'adam is the lashon of the Mesilas Yesharim. It causes you not to think straight. It twists your thinking and you're like somebody who's drunk. Someone whose das has become mekalkel. What is das? Das is your sense of reality. When you say ani yodeya, you're describing what I know to be true. Obviously, some people say it and they don't mean it, especially if they repeat it. I know. Person who says, I know, doesn't know anything, right? But when you really know something and you suddenly find out it's not true, you suddenly find out that your parents aren't your parents, or you find out whatever weird thing it is. Yeah. There was a movie called The Truman Show where this kid was a baby who had been abandoned in a movie studio and no one could find his parents. So the movie studio adopted him and they made his life a TV show that you could watch at any time. And they made up a whole make-believe city and people, gave him a make-believe wife, make-believe friends, make-believe parents, and they were all actors, and he didn't know. And when he finally figures it out, you can imagine it's pretty traumatic, You suddenly realize that my whole life has been a lie. It's all been make believe, and he has to now go out into the real world and figure out what reality is. So when your das is mekalkel, either because you're drunk and you're not thinking straight, and you make bad decisions, obviously, or you're so addicted to laughter, and this has nothing to do with inappropriate behavior. I'm not talking about inappropriate. I'm talking about just laughing, just the laughing itself. You could go to an old Marx Brothers movie and laugh until you are physically exhausted. It's just that funny, There are certain comedians who are clean and are just hysterically funny, and you laugh until, you're out of your kalim, until you go out of your mind. You just, like I say, physically and mentally exhausted from the experience of laughing. So that's why Pashtus Schaik is a bad thing. But it doesn't say Bli Schaik. It says Miat Schaik. Why? Because, as we said, a person who laughs, as the Masil Shalom said, is like a shikar. He's drunk. That doesn't mean we don't say never drink wine. There are those people and those religions that believe in abstaining completely from alcoholic beverages. You can't have anything. It's the devil's brew. And there are people who drink until they're drunk. An American guy comes to Toronto and he sees a guy passed out in the street, totally drunk. He was embarrassed. He realizes he's a fellow countryman. And he says, "Why would you do this here?" He says, "Well, I got off the plane and I saw a sign that said Drink Canada Dry, and I'm doing the best I can." Anyway, so just keep drinking and drinking. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we will die is the Epicurean concept. We don't believe that. We believe you can take a glass of wine and use it to make Kiddush, and use it to make Havdalah, and use it for Sheva Brachos, and the base Avel. And there's definitely places where a glass of wine. And I don't have to get that far. When I take my wife out to a nice restaurant, let me see, the last time, okay, it's not important. Anyway, actually, the last time was for my wife's birthday. And I took her out to a nice restaurant. And really it was an excellent meal. It went very nicely. And at the end, the waiter said, "Someone already paid your tab." And I couldn't believe it. Now, I have some fans out there, but to actually pay for me and my wife in an expensive restaurant to go out to eat, I mean, that's next level. And I'm going around to different people that I knew. I said, did you pay for my meal? And all I did was embarrass these people. Like, no. Like, not only didn't I, but I wouldn't. I don't even know what you're talking about. It turned out it was my son. Because I told everyone we were going out to eat, and I wasn't saying where, and they guessed from different clues where we were. So my son knew somebody in the restaurant, and he called up and says, "I'm paying their tab." And he didn't tell me. He says, "I went out with a couple of friends who are, Baruch Hashem, well-to-do. We were in a restaurant. And there was this couple. They were on vacation. He was a carpenter or something. He didn't have a lot of money, and they obviously saved up a lot for this. And one of my friends told the waitress, "I'm paying for their meal," He says, and I saw how happy they were. So I thought that would be my birthday present. I'll pay for the meal for you. And at the end of the meal, you suddenly find out it's paid for, And it's true. It is a very nice thing. But anyway, so we went out and I ordered a glass of wine. I didn't order a bottle of wine. I wasn't going to polish off a whole bottle, Not even me and my wife together. We buy a glass of wine, house wine, we share it, and on special occasions. But there are people who sit down to dinner, have a glass of wine with supper. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So wine is okay in small doses. Yeah. A person who wants to have an occasional l'chaim, okay. A person who drinks until they're drunk. So take a look at the Das Kenim in Perek Shmini, where he's going on the view in the Chazal that Shesui Yayin Nichnas, that Nadav and Avihu drank wine before they went in, and that's what led to their death. And it just compiles over there all of the Chazal about how terrible it is to become drunk and drink yourself drunk. So therefore, a cup of wine is okay. The same thing with laughter. I know it seems kind of funny that me, of all people, have chosen this topic to talk about. But I want you to know that there's a method to my madness. One of the most effective things that exist in Klal Yisrael is the Purim Spiel. I'm a big believer in Purim Spiel. I have this dream one day that I'm going to do here in Yerushalayim, a big Purim Spiel, and be like, in a theater with music and dance and the whole 9 yards. And the reason it's so effective is because it's an opportunity for social commentary that you can't get in another way. But laughter has that ability to be able to get to you. That's why I've said this more than once. And in fact, I'm quoted in the back cover of their second book, The Kichels, is probably the most effective social commentary that exists in Klal Yisrael today. Because you can read the various columnists in the various Jewish publications, be they rabbonim or politicians or whatever the case happens to be, and they all have points to make. But when it's a cartoon, you can get away with stuff that nobody else can. Somebody who was going to one of my shiurim told over to a very choshev Rebbitzin the things that I was saying. And she says, so stark? If I said that stuff, they'd kill me. Says, he can say it because he's funny. If you're funny, you can get away with anything. Because if people are offended, they always say, oh, he was just joking. You know what I mean? Unless you discuss Yom Ha'atzmaut, then forget about it. They're going to come and kill you. But otherwise, you can get away with saying things because when people laugh, it opens them up. As Moshe Shapiro would always point out, you have a measurement called a tefach, and then a tefach soichek. What? A laughing tefach. See, it's bigger because it's open. Because when you laugh, it opens you up and makes you more receptive. And that's why the Gemara says, Rabba posach bebedicha. He would always start with a joke before he would start a shir. And there's no question that I have that tool in my arsenal in order to be able to get messages across. And people who've listened to me speak publicly for years, they say to me, he goes, sometimes you get up there and you're so funny. And I'm just laughing. And then I remember, the funnier he is, the harder is the mussar he hits you with at the end. That's what Shalom Shadron said. He used to get up and he would tell jokes and he would tell stories, and he gave a mashal. He says, but you want a little kid to take his medicine, you get him to laugh and then you can shtup it in, and it distracts them. When you can distract them, then they have that opportunity to be able to hear things they wouldn't otherwise be able to hear. Because when you're sad, you shrink. Gemara in Ksuvas says that when they would think about the Churban, they would physically shrink. Sadness makes you smaller. Laughter makes you expand. You become bigger. Yeah? And it's, I I guess that's how we say we fat people are jolly. I don't know, maybe that's why. But the idea is that laughter opens you up to be able to hear things. Now, part of this is part of the nature of a joke. Jokes work by playing with your sense of reality. Yeah. Woody Allen would have a joke. He says, I was poor growing up. I had to wear my cousin's hand-me-downs, and it was really embarrassing because she wasn't my size. Okay, you get the joke? The joke is when he says cousin, you think he means a boy cousin, and he says a girl cousin, and then it flips. My father had about 8 jokes. He would tell them over and over again. Luckily, my mother, Shalom, was the greatest audience in the world because she couldn't remember jokes. She could just tell her the same ones over and over. But he had this joke he used to tell about a mother comes into her son's room. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He hasn't gotten up yet. She kicks the bed. She says, Angelo, why are you still in the bed? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't work. You don't have no job. You don't get married. You're breaking my heart. Angelo looks at him and says, Mama, how could you talk like that? We're not Italian. It's a joke. It's a joke. Now, in Hebrew, they have a concept of hafucha hafuch, where it's a joke on a joke. You tell a joke, and the joke comes comes off of the joke itself, and there's a punchline to the punchline. I tell this joke taking into account the fact that it's offensive, but there is an entire genre of jokes that are known as mother-in-law jokes. Now, of course, I don't endorse these, and I think they're terrible, but just so you should appreciate the genre. And I'm just bringing this as an example. And, the Rabbi Orlofsky show does not endorse mother-in-law jokes or any of these kind of things. Okay. A guy sees a funeral procession. There's a coffin. Walking behind the coffin is a dog. And then a long line of mourners. Well, it seems kind of strange. So he says to the first guy in line, whose funeral is it? He says, my mother-in-law. He says, what happened? He says, well, the dog bit her and she died. The guy says, hey, can I borrow the dog? He says, get in line. So you see, you thought that was the joke. It was a joke on the joke. You understand? That's where you push it a little further and a little further, And it's the unexpected, because expected, people don't laugh. Schik is an outburst of the contradiction, of the funny. That's what makes it funny. Guy walks into a bar, orders a drink. Not very funny. Guy walks into a bar, says, ouch. Also not very funny, but at least it's a joke. Because you thought he walked into a pub, when in fact he literally walked into a bar. 2 guys walk into a bar. You think one of them would have seen it. It's the same idea. You're doing it. That's why there's a clever joke. And it's not very funny, but I chazr it over my head all the time because it's just so clever. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. Now, the reason this is so clever is because in the first joke, flies is a verb, right? Time flies. In the second one, flies is a noun. Fruit flies. In the first one, like is kamo, as if. Time flies like an arrow. In the second one, like is ohev, they enjoy. Fruit flies like a banana. So it's so incredibly clever, not very funny, but it is incredibly clever, and it's the unexpected, that makes people laugh, because you don't see it coming. You don't know where it's going to come from. So going back to the Purim play, which is what I wanted to show. Purim play is so important because it's social commentary. So I used to enjoy watching people try to impersonate me. It's not easy to impersonate me. So certain people try to do the silly laugh that I have, yeah, okay, fine. Almost every Purim play, as soon as I sit down, the first thing I do is kick off my shoes. That's definitely a habit I have. Sometimes even when I'm speaking, I'll take off my shoes behind the lectern as I'm talking. Rabbi Wallerstein, Zeichel Bracha, he said that he was a Kohen, and there are certain things that Kohanim have in common, and one is they all have hot feet, so they're always taking off their shoes. He says that's because they had to work in the Beis HaMikdash, sometimes in the cold on the stone floor outside, so they had to have hot feet. So that's why you find very often Kohanim kick off their shoes. So I have a reason for it. But okay, that was one of the things they would imitate. They would do certain other things. But one time, someone was doing me a Purim play, and I didn't get it. They were doing me giving a shir, and it goes like, and then this guy comes along, and the guy, Napoleon, a little short guy, you know what I'm talking about? This guy's hand on that. And then in the middle, he stops and he goes like this. And everybody cracks up. And he does it like 2 or 3 times. And each time people were laughing. I said, what is that? They said, Rebbe, you do that all the time? I said, no, I don't. He goes, okay, next time we catch it. So sure enough, I'm in shir. I'm doing some routine. And they say, there it is. And I said, it was conscious. I'm doing a routine. And then I stopped and I went like this. I said, oh, now I understand. Yeah. What does that mean? As I said, there's a method to the madness. There's a line between where you're using the humor to illustrate the Torah and to open up the shir, and where it just turns into schayk. And so I will use the humor as a technique to get people receptive to the idea I'm trying to say, but I stop and say, is that enough? Should I go for another minute, to make sure that everyone's chopping what I'm saying? Or did I make my point? I didn't want it to be schayk for the sense of schayk. In fact, there was, when I used to teach in the Yerushalayim, this married woman comes over to me and says, I said over the entire shir to my husband. I said, very nice. Says, you don't understand, I can't remember shiurim, but I remember jokes and stories. And with your shir, if you remember the jokes and stories, you can recreate the shir. Now, I was teaching seminary. I used to give a parsha shir. And it was Friday morning. People were tired. I'd always start with a joke. And then I would slowly start setting up my questions and my questions and my questions, and be a whole bunch of questions. And then I would turn it out to the group, and they would offer some suggestions, etc. And then I would give my answer. And one time, towards the end of this year, this one girl said, wait, I know the answer. It's in the opening joke. It's always in the opening joke. And I thought to myself, wow, that's pretty good, because I usually cover it up. But I do have that habit at the end, when everything is all done, I come back at the end and I tie it back in to that first joke that I told. So, okay, so there was a method to the madness. But the idea is that you want to use the schayk. When I was in Chavetz Chaim, Rav Henoch, when he would give a shir, he would tell a lot of jokes during the shir. So someone said to me once, I don't understand. It says, Rabba potach b'bedicha. He would tell one joke, and he wouldn't keep telling jokes the whole time. So he asked the Rosh Hashiva, and Rav Henoch said, it's a different door. So someone said to me, what did he mean? I said, I know what he meant. Nobody has any attention span. You're starting the shir over again, over and over again. So you have to keep pulling the people back in. And if there's no jokes, they'll just start to drift. So there were these, there was a master's program in psychology. And they brought in someone to speak about some kind of political thing in China. Okay, he's speaking. 5 minutes in, the professor stops him and says, everybody write down whatever you were thinking just now. Only one person was thinking about China, and that was he was thinking of going out to get Chinese food. But otherwise, people completely spaced out. So if you're able to use the humor as a hook to be able to pull people into the Torah, that's when it has it. That's why it's mitzchayk. It doesn't say no schayk. But those bull sessions where people just sit around and tell jokes and laugh until they look like they're drunk and falling off the couch, that can only lead to bad things. Fooling around is a problem. And therefore, we have to know there are things in this world that are good in limited quantities, and too much can have ill effect. Use only as prescribed. Okay, and that brings us to the question and answer portion of our program. Question number 1 by Anonymous. Is the grass really greener on the other side? Yeah, sometimes. Certainly, if you don't take care of your lawn and the other person does, it does. Obviously, what you're saying is if the grass on my side is exactly as green and the grass on the other side, why does it look better over there? And the answer is because we live in a world of dimyon. We live in a world of fantasy. And we fantasize that somebody else's life is better than ours. I quoted Rabbi Orlofsky on this before, where it says, Lo sachmaid, says, do not desire your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's house, or your neighbor's cow. It says, why are you comparing the wife to the cow? Yeah. He says, well, obviously, if I want your house and I want your wife and I want your cow, it means I want to be you. And I'm convinced that if I had her husband, or I had his wife, or I had their children, or I had their money, or whatever it is, then my life would be happy. And that's why the grass often appears greener on the other side. Or because the people on the other side know how to enjoy it more than you do. There are certain things that if my wife made for the children, they would not eat. But if I'm eating it, the children pull it out of my hands because everything that I eat looks good. It's just part of my nature. You know, I guess I just enjoy life. I just am so filled with joy that when I eat something, it says, wow, that looks like it must be the most delicious thing in the world. And I have this joke that I've been doing for over 40 years. We're married for over 40 years. And we go out to eat, and my wife is like, I'm not going to wash, you know, or I'm not going to have dessert, whatever it is, you know. And so I say, okay, I'll wash. She says, how's the bread? Probably the most delicious bread I've ever had in my life. She says, really? I said, no. I do it every time because so I'm not going to have desserts. I get the cake. This is probably the most delicious piece of cake I've ever had in my life. Because like, really? But it doesn't matter. I don't have to say that. Just when I eat something, it just automatically takes on. That's why I really should have been a Rebbe. If I ever learned Yiddish, I think I want to become a Rebbe. Because, you know, the Rebbe would eat something and they right away take it away and pass it around to the Hasidim, you know. Someone said to me once, why do you see these Rebbes have this far-off look in their eyes? So there was a chassid there, and he says, because they're not in this world, they're looking someplace else. I said, that's not why, because every time they eat something, they pull it away. And he's like, wait, I wasn't done. That's litzanus. Okay, that does not fall under our category. Next question. Kitty Carlisle by Anonymous. What can I do when I'm stressed? Breathe. Breathing is very effective. I remember when I learned Lamaze with my wife when we were expecting our first child. So they said pain comes about because, you know, you get tense and then your muscles tense up and everything becomes worse. It says you have to learn to relax and take deep breath, and that aerates your muscles and makes you more relaxed. So that's one thing you should do. The other thing you should do is, and there's an expression, I've heard this expression, go to your happy place. What does that mean? So I used to say, step outside of the painting. You're in a painting and step outside of it. So I'm looking at it from the outside. You know, I saw Miriam Adahan in one of her books describes it as helicoptering above the situation and watching it from above. It means that I'm not involved. I'm looking at it from the outside. So I can find myself in a very tense situation, and I go any place that might be nice for me. Yeah. I think of myself lying in a comfortable bed, and it's just the right temperature, warm enough or cool enough. People like to sleep different ways. And just feel yourself sinking into the bed and into the pillow and just relaxing, right? For some people, it's go someplace where there's water and grass and, and you can hear birds, and it's just relaxing like that. Whatever it is, wherever your place is, go to your happy place. Another way is listening to music, and you should find whatever music it is that picks you up. Music has the ability to lift us up. Steve Martin, who's been around for many years, but he was a comedian in the 70s. So part of his routine, he'd play the banjo, and he says, you can't really write a depressing song on the banjo. It's like, oh, death, destruction, and horrible thing. Music is very good, and that's it. You have to, and the most important thing is you need bitachon. I remember seeing a bumper sticker once that said, before you tell God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big God is. And the more you reach that level of acceptance, then you could be stuck in traffic. You got to get someplace. There's nothing you can do. You just accept it. What can I do? I wish the traffic was moving. I have to get someplace. Nothing I can do. It just is. You just have to have trust that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what he's doing. And if you accept that, that'll help you to relieve the stress. Okay, by Anonymous, is there anything we can do to stop talking during davening? Yes. Now, those of you who are not familiar of my alter ego, I am also a cartoon character known as Rabbi Sitter. And that's why sometimes I go places, and some people know me as Rabbi Orlofsky. They know me from the Rabbi Orlofsky show or from places I've spoken or taught. And some people know me as Rabbi Sitter. This is by Torah Live, Dan Roth. In fact, you can go back to the old podcasts. I interviewed him once, and we talked about Torah Live. And he uses the animation as a means to be able to bring across ideas. And if there was ever anybody who was meant to be a cartoon character, it's definitely me. Anyway, so I just made a video for them about not talking in shul as Rabbi Sitter. So if you want to go to Torah Live, you can look up that video. It's I deal with it at length. I'll give you a few easy ones. One is, if there's a shul where everybody talks, don't go there. And if you have to go there, sit someplace where no one's going to talk to you. Find a corner somewhere. But certainly don't sit next to the talkers. And certainly don't sit next to anybody who is going to talk to you. That's no guarantee. People might come over and talk to you. And the easiest way to deal with that is just to look at them and not say anything. Usually they'll figure it out and look for greener pastures where they can go and talk to somebody. But, if you stay away from those situations, it'll make it much easier for you. Obviously, if you can find a minyan where there's no talking, that makes it better. When I lived in Far Rockaway, so Rabbi Eitan Feiner, who is now the rabbi of the White Shul, he was introducing me once when I was going to speak in the shul. And he says, I remember Rabbi Orlofsky when I was a teenager, because I used to go to the teen minyan at the White Shul. And it was very strange. There was this one adult. Now, I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but there was this one adult. I was wearing a tallis, who would daven in the minyan. And I said, yeah, I love that minyan. There's no talking. They move it along. The kids run all the davening and the laning. They have a little Dvar Torah. You know, it's perfect. It was the perfect davening that I could find, everything that I could ask for. And there were certain shuls where you just knew there was going to be a lot of talking. And it upsets me, you know. Okay. By Anonymous, what is the definition of hatred in the pasuk Lo sisnas achicha b'bovecha? If I dislike someone, when does one start to have an avera under this love? Oh, Avei Hashem sinura. If you hate someone because they're Russia, okay. Yeah. But if I hate somebody because they are annoying, and they're not evil, they're just incredibly annoying. You know, like the people who poke you in the chest when they talk to you, or they slap you on the shoulder. Emphasis, you walk away bruised. Or people who have not mastered the art of personal hygiene, you know, and they come right up to you, you know. So you're not allowed to hate those people. You know, you may not want to spend the quiet evening together, but you have to love people. And just as you have a tremendous amount of tolerance for yourself in spite of your shortcomings, you can love other people also, even because of their shortcomings. Even if their shortcomings are moral, even if their shortcomings are emotional, you're not supposed to hate anybody. You're not supposed to hate them, you know? And so people who say, well, I can't help the way I feel, the answer is, yeah, you can. You are not an animal. You can take control over your thoughts and decisions. And that's it for this episode. If you want to find out more about the show, you can go to my website, RabbiOrlofsky.com. And there's other material there that you can read or you can download. You can sign up for one of our online shiurim, Tefillah, Mesil Shisharim, Daf Yomi. You can sponsor an episode, sponsor a question and answer, sponsor a Parsha in 5. You can do a question, leave a comment. And that's it. Until next time, I am David Orlofsky, and this has been the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode, and we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. On RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah, anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky